This is the vast green tundra. Territories below the Arctic Circle enjoy truly virgin nature. It seems modern civilization hasn't yet crept in here. The Canon Peninsula neighbors the Kola Peninsula. It separates the White Sea from the Barents Sea in European Russia. The area is covered with thick bushes, grass, moss, stones, and numerous rivulets. Fogs and never-ending rain are often the case here. In the summer, the Canon Peninsula turns into a haven for huge herds of deer traveling across the boundless tundra. The village of Oma is one of few in this region. It's an outpost for settled nomads. Further on is tundra, stretching for 20 kilometers up to the Barents Sea coast. The village is populated by the Nenets, who dropped their nomadic lifestyle to settle here. Their main occupations are fishing and mushroom and berry picking. Ivan Barakulov is 80 years old. He's spent the last 25 years in Oma. The Soviet authorities believed that a nomadic lifestyle wasn't the best thing for older men. As a result, they settled the nomads in villages.
I retired in 1981 and settled here. The collective farm granted me a house. I was born in the tundra and spent my life with my deer. I got a title of merited deer breeder. Perhaps I'm the oldest deer breeder. I'm the last to keep the ancient traditions of our predecessors.
Scientists believe that southern Siberia, namely the Altai and Sayan mountains, were the homeland for the Nenets. Many centuries ago, their predecessors tamed deer and were forced to leave the area to give way to belligerent Turk tribes. Then they were forced out of western Siberia. The Huns and Mants refused to accept them. Neither did the unfriendly tundra, and its inhabitants welcomed the Nenets. But they won that particular battle, and tamed deer helped them settle. It was the Nenets who possessed this weapon, something which the locals didn't have. Their later attacks on forests where they once used to live scared the inhabitants out of their wits. The Nenets were invulnerable thanks to their fast deer. They spent winters in forests close to villages. They used carts to get to the nearest city and exchanged deer or ice fox skins for fish, gunpowder, cartridges, flour, and cakes. The Nenets have always lived in tents called chooms. They are traditionally made from wood and deerskin. This design helps the air circulate within the tent, preserving the heat. Deer breeder Ivan Barakulov lives alone. He is the only surviving member of his family. The happiest day for him now is the annual meeting of nomadic deer breeders.
Once a year on August 2nd, all nomads across the tundra get together. A motorboat or a helicopter brings parcels for deer breeders up the Canon peaks.
Ivan takes a flight across the tundra to meet the other nomads. Deer breeders take their herds to the Canon Peninsula during the summer. The strong wind on the hills blows away midges, which are the deer's main enemy. The nomads meet every year here, something which they look forward to. They can't afford to get together that often. Each group follows a certain path year on year to prevent their herds from mixing or grazing on someone else's pastures. Friends and relatives only get the chance to see each other at the beginning of August. to catch up on the latest news and share their events, anything they have been through during the whole year of nomadic life. Ivan, and Nenet's elder, is always a welcome guest at such get-togethers. The Nenets show great respect for the older members of the community. The hills of Canon are like the center of the nomadic world, a crossroads for generations. Even today, the Nenets occupy a third of the Russian Arctic, from the Canon to the Taimur Peninsula, and they are believed to be the most mobile nomads in the world. Each year, they and their herds cover a territory of 400 to 2,000 kilometers. The speed of a deer proves more vital than a nomad's own physical force. The larger the herd, the faster you have to move through the tundra. The shortest stop is 2 days before the herd moves from summer to winter pastures. The things that cease to be necessary are left along the route. In the autumn, you usually don't need summer clothes. In the spring, winter things become useless. If any villages lie along the route, they leave things with their numerous friends and relatives. A settled friend is of great value for a modern nomad. During the Soviet period, attempts were made to modernize deer breeding. This included a more settled life for deer, working in shifts for shepherds, and sewing workshops for women. But the innovations were ineffective. Deer breeding doesn't make any sense to the actual breeder if he is settled, so only those who stuck to traditional ways of life survived. They lived as their predecessors did, thinking of something more than money and the lure of progress. The Nenet children get to know nomadic life from the cradle. Many of them were born here among the deer. The vast expanses of the tundra is their home. Their sledge is a pram. Such a sledge is the perfect cradle for little nomads. When it's time to go to school, they attend it just like other children. It's a hard test of loyalty to nomadic life and tradition. The children study at school centres located in nearby villages. They don't complain, although they have to live in two different worlds, a civilized settled lifestyle and the native nomadic life of their parents, who they usually see during the vacation. They feel at ease here, especially with the new things in the tundra. A television set and a video player. Movies are watched together during stops. Games imitate real life. Most popular is playing deer and shepherds. This is the way children learn the skills of nomadic life. Among other northern tribes, the Nenet children are the most oriented towards tradition. This has happened because from their early years, their interests copy those of their parents. By the time they go to school, they have a clear system of values passed on by their elders. The Nenets have always lived beyond the Arctic Circle. This archive footage shot 70 years ago is some of the first evidence on film of their lifestyle. The long polar days follow the long polar nights. This is why a normal year becomes two. One is the light year of summer, the other is the dark year of winter. They used to hold a celebration on August the 2nd. Previously, the Nenets made sacrifices to the gods on this day. During the Soviet period, sacrifices were banned, but the holiday remained. It's now turned into the Day of Reindeer. The Nenets always celebrated it in style. A fair with traditional dances and sport competitions were part and parcel of the Day of the Reindeer. races were traditionally held on Reindeer Day. They started training the reindeer for these races many months ahead. They were a great source of pride for many breeders. Spirits at the races ran high. Each jockey had his own style and secrets. Some preferred to harness male deer in their sledge. Others used females. Some of them used just harnesses. The winner enjoyed much respect and authority. Today, these reindeer races can only be seen on archive footage. Though the festival is already a matter for the past, the nomads still get together every year on August the 2nd. Ivan Barakulov won many reindeer races. It was a sunny and still morning, and no one paid attention to a long and thin piece of cloud which was approaching from the north. Thick, dense fog, normal for these parts, covered Canon. It means that it's going to be cold and that it will also rain. Everyone was waiting for a pasturing reindeer herd to return. But the shepherds could easily get lost in the tundra in such weather, so the reindeer return was delayed. The nomad camp is slowly resettling into tents. The life of contemporary Nenet nomads has changed little since the time of their ancestors. They only moved from huts to tarpaulin tents 30 years ago. Large nomadic families often live in one tent. The young and old live side by side. The wife often does all of the housework in Nenet homes. Almost every tent has a housewife. They not only cook, but they also sew and mend clothes. They bake bread from yeast dough every day. The fog paralyzes life at the nomad camp. Such days are a perfect time for long conversations. Ivan Barakulov also decided to speak about his heroic past.
I brought these awards and decorations from Oma to show them to you. I fought in 2 wars, the Finnish War and the Second World War. I was first decorated during the Finnish War, where I was an intelligence officer. I was wounded then. The winter was severe that year.
Many Nenets fought in the Soviet-Finnish War between 1939 and 1940. The front line stretched across a vast northern territory, from the Gulf of Finland to the Barents Sea. Severe frosts of -45 degrees Celsius made it impossible for military hardware to be moved from place to place. The Nenets delivered food and ammunition to the front line using sledges pulled by dogs or reindeer.
See how old I am. I wish I could live long enough to teach you something. Take your time, let's eat something and have some tea.
Tobacco and tea have been the staple food in northern life for many years, along with deer meat and fish. The Nenets consider a feast to be a male prerogative. Women and children sit at the table only after the men. It's an old tradition. The Nenet cuisine is modest, and their idea of a delicacy is quite different to that in Europe. A wild goose is a special treat.
In old days, goose meat was soured with willow leaves approximately for 6 months.
For many years, sour goose used to be the main course for many Nenet families. When they learned to salt fish from the Russians, canned food became unnecessary. Sour goose is a rare dish now, and therefore it's one of the most valuable. The fog over Canon took several days to clear, a sign to the reindeer breeders that their herds will start to return soon.
It has cleared up. The herd will be back soon. It's time to prepare the lassos.
Despite his age, Ivan Barakulov didn't lose the knack of using a lasso. It's the main tool for any reindeer breeder. Previously, it used to be made out of skins from marine animals. Now, 15-meter-long lassos are weaved from synthetic material. A large herd appeared on the horizon at last. Everybody, the old and the young, came out to meet it. The Nenets keep a special ancient breed of dog to help them herd the reindeer, a Samoyed husky. The Nenets have a legend. They believe that the heavenly creator instructed the dogs to take care of the reindeer. However, quite soon, he realized that all of the herds had been eaten by the pack. Then he became angry and assigned men to lead the dogs. The Nenets respect them a lot. They believe that a dog, if mistreated by its master, can complain to its canine god, and they will be struck down with a plague. The deer breeders are highly skilled and experienced in harnessing the animals. It's an important part of their culture. For convenience, they move the reindeer they have caught from a common herd into a pen. Then each breeder looks for its animals. The Nenets describe them as a means for living. This is why nomads dedicate their life to their reindeer. They are their food, clothes, and shelter. As soon as the breeders find their animals, they calm down, and then they can be taken to the tents. The Nenet's harness is believed to be perfect. It consists of a system of blocks which are affixed to a dog sledge, and it allows the animals to balance. Moreover, any number of reindeers can be put into a harness. Nenet dog sledges are rather large. They can move across any terrain, grass and snow. They can also cope with bogs, which are very common in the area. The Nenets use sledges all year round. Life in the camp has been gradually improving. It became possible to write a letter to relatives on the mainland, but even on clear days, the tundra brings surprises, and they aren't always pleasant.
The wind is fierce here, and that's good. On calm days, mosquitoes attack our herds.
The nomads have an old and reliable method to fight mosquitoes. All of the men in the settlement light fires to kill them. The mosquitoes arrive mainly in the morning and during the evening, and this is why the nomads have no time to rest they must save their herds. The nomad meeting is over, and it's time to think about returning to their native camps. The way back is likely to be long and difficult, so the reindeer have to be prepared. However, the sunset is a good sign. For many years, the Nenets have performed a sacred ritual to secure their spirit support during the journey. The Nenets also sacrificed reindeer to the gods. The ritual was held in holy places, far from the nomad camps. The heads were given to the gods, while the meat became a festive meal. This ritual still exists today. It's been the same for around 500 years. The nomads believe that raw meat is good for your health. Even the children eat sweet reindeer bone. The deer is our bread. This is an old Nenet saying. The Nenets aren't accustomed to long goodbyes. The camp empties very quickly. They start to pack their sledges and get ready to depart. Ivan Barakulev is among them, even though he is reluctant to move.
I would like so much to go on a trip with reindeer breeders. But the life in the tundra is hard for old people. I look forward to next summer to return here. I'm already 80, but a nomad spirit lives inside me and will never die.
Spacious tundra using the reindeer. They set out on long journeys after the dense mist has cleared, and they'll see each other again right here in the Canon Hills on August the 2nd. Any Nenet legend begins with a road. A shaman can summon the spirits to any camp. But most of the nomads take a ride on the back of a reindeer to a place where they can speak to the gods and ask them for life's essentials. A loyal convoy of sledges pulled by reindeer makes the annual pilgrimage to the Canon Hills. The Nenets head towards the horizon for the next phase of their